starts now.
Now at 5, nearly a week after a devastating tornado, the recovery effort is well underway. We check up on a local farm. Hello, everyone. I'm Britni McDonald. We'll get to that story in a moment. But first, storms and rain are once again moving back into our area. Meteorologist Carlos Tucker is in the weather center now to tell us how bad it's going to get this time. Carlos?
Not as bad as it could be. In fact, we did have a severe thunderstorm watch that was in effect a while ago. It was going to be in effect until 7 p.m. It's been canceled as this thunderstorm system has just really begun to fall apart. So a quick look now at what's going on with SkyTracker HD. You can see what looked like a pretty substantial line trying to get organized, rapidly falling apart. And that's good news for us. It just means general garden variety thunderstorms are on the way. So as far as that severe thunderstorm watch, no concerns over that at all. It is done, over with. So no worries there. We can see the skies definitely dark. It's definitely a warm and humid one out there. 80 degrees with a heat index of 83. So those muggy conditions will still lend to some showers and thunderstorms as we push into the evening hours. Those become likely as we push toward around 9, 10 p.m. and past the midnight hour tonight. So you will hear a few rumbles of thunder and get some more wet weather moving in as we make our way through the late overnight hours tonight. And that's just the beginning. More chances for rain and thunder are out ahead as we head into next week's work week. In fact, some pretty heavy rainfall could be possible for the day tomorrow. I'm going to hash that all out coming up in a few minutes with the Weather Authority forecast.
We'll see you then. Thanks, Carlos. And with the latest weather, it's hard to believe it's been almost a week since a tornado ripped through a small town outside Platteville. The small community is rallying around each other to start rebuilding what's been damaged or destroyed. NBC 15's Christy Diamond joins us now with more on their efforts. Christy?
Drive down Jericho Road in Belmont and you see almost every barn or house missing roof, siding, even walls. But now after the last 6 days, some families say they're starting to make progress, largely because so many people are coming by to lend a hand when it's needed the most. One family we spoke with tells us they've had more than 24 people stop by ready to help.
We didn't lose an animal. You know, when our neighbors are losing cattle and barns and holes in their roofs that they have to deal with. I mean, and then for them to come around and ask us how we're doing, it's just very nice people. I'd like to thank everybody.
In the 12 years they've been at their farm, the Kunkel family says they've never had anything this bad come through, but they say they're confident that eventually they'll have everything rebuilt. Be sure to tune in tonight for NBC 15 News at 10. We'll hear more from this family about their recovery efforts.
All right, thanks. We have new information on a fatal motorcycle crash near Wisconsin Dells. Deputies say a Sheboygan County man is dead after his motorcycle hit a deer last night. It happened around 10:30 on westbound I-90-94 near the Dells. Authorities say Todd Hughes of Glenbula was ejected from his bike and died at the scene. We've learned a Browntown man has died from injuries he suffered in a crash earlier this month. Greene County deputies say it happened on Highway 11 in the town of Cadiz. That's just north of Browntown. Authorities say a car driven by 76-year-old Robert Chaddock turned in front of another. Both drivers were injured in the crash. Deputies were notified yesterday that Chaddock died. In our Crime Tracker 15 report tonight, Janesville police arrested a man for an OWI last night, and he wasn't even supposed to have any alcohol. A witness says 63-year-old Rick Hesgard was trying to leave a bar after drinking. Police pulled him over and said they could smell alcohol on his breath as they spoke to him. Hesgard has 3 prior convictions and 1 pending OWI case. Because of that pending case, he's supposed to have absolute sobriety. Around the nation, heavy rains caused deadly flash flooding in the Omaha, Nebraska area. Roads looked like lakes after several inches of rain fell in just a few hours. Authorities say the levees worked well at near full capacity, but water had nowhere else to go and overflowed, causing flash flooding. One road started to sink early Sunday morning and buckled right underneath a woman's car. She was later taken to the hospital for treatment. Today in Iraq, a new wave of terrorist violence reached the capital of Baghdad. Pro-government militias have beaten back an army inspired by al-Qaeda, at least for now. President Obama is deciding whether and how to commit the U.S. military without putting American boots on the ground. Brian Moore has that story from Washington.
Just as the Iraqi government seemed to be getting the upper hand on an advancing terrorist army, the capital was rocked Sunday by a series of deadly bombings. In the U.S. capital, lawmakers are now worrying Iraq could become a launch pad for the next 9/11.
If the central government falls, a disaster awaits us of monumental proportions.
Senator Lindsey Graham says the situation is so dire the United States should consider working with Iran to defuse the growing threat.
Why did we deal with Stalin? Because he was not as bad as Hitler in our eyes.
The al-Qaeda-inspired group known as ISIS has captured key territory in northern and western Iraq, reportedly leaving behind a trail of mass executions and beheadings. As pro-government Iraqis began fighting back, U.S. ships headed into the region under orders from President Obama, who on this Father's Day discussed U.S. military options with his advisors. This Iraq veteran turned Congresswoman sees no win for the U.S. military.
It is not in our U.S. interest to go and involve ourselves in the middle of what is a religious civil war.
Meanwhile, in suburban Detroit, native Iraqis of different religions held a demonstration, a show of support for the Iraqi government and for each other. Brian Moore, NBC News, Washington.
The Baghdad embassy remains open today, but the Pentagon says it's increased security to protect the personnel who remain there. The average price of gas rose about 2 cents a gallon nationwide over the past 2 weeks. The national average in the lower 48 states is now $3.70 a gallon. The most expensive gas is in Chicago at $4.15 a gallon. The lowest gas prices were found in Tucson at $3.37 a gallon. The Lundberg survey says crude oil prices have gone up slightly and will likely go much higher if the turmoil in Iraq continues. According to AAA, prices are down just a bit here in the Madison area. Right now, they list the current average at $3.61 a gallon. Compare that to last week when it was $3.63 and a year ago when it was $3.67. Right now, Team USA is battling Portugal in the World Cup. This is a live look of a viewing party at the Memorial Union on the UW-Madison campus. Excitement is high. The Union was already packed earlier this afternoon. The U.S. team wins. The team advances to the next round of play in Brazil. That would also eliminate Portugal from the World Cup. Everyone looking very intense there. Hunters and trappers will be able to go after bobcats in southern Wisconsin this fall. The state DNR already offers a bobcat season in northern Wisconsin. This fall, the agency will run a season south of Highway 64. Both seasons will run concurrently in 2 parts from October 18th to December 25th and December 26th to January 31st. Permit applications for the southern region are due August 1st. They will be awarded through a lottery. It's 150 years of music history right here in Wisconsin. Up next on NBC 15 News at 5, we show you how singers are keeping a tradition alive at the Capitol today.